new world,
basically.
Yeah, I want to talk to you about that in a minute, but I have to ask you, David, I mean, do you find the title at all offensive?
I try not to take it personally.
Yeah.
I think the world that Hannah describes is a world that ultimately is going to be better for men and for women. And
good.
There's a difficult transition perhaps for me and for some of my confreres. It's going to be. I think she points away to why this is going to be better for all of us.
One of the things you write about is a phenomenon you call plastic woman and cardboard man. And as I understand it, the argument is essentially that women have been more flexible in adjusting to changes in our economy and our society, and men haven't.
Yes, I mean, it's pretty straightforward. If you look over the century, women have just adapted to new ways of being in the public sphere. They take over jobs that used to be exclusively male jobs, while men don't do the opposite. They have a harder time doing things that we may think of as feminine. You know, once women enter a job, men tend to flee the job, whereas women just seem to be more flexible.
Is that your experience, David? I mean, you're an online editor. You're a boss to, I assume, men and women. Do you think men are less flexible than women?
I do. I think when I look around, I think this phenomenon is probably less true among college-educated men than it is among men who don't have a college education. But I think when I look at the most productive and adaptive people who I work with, they do tend to be women.
You look at this recession, it's been hard on everybody. It's been particularly hard on men. Loss of manufacturing jobs, for example, would hit men more prevalently than women. Are you sure that's not what's at work here? I mean, in essence, are you in any way blaming men for the hardships that they face in this economy?
I think a lot of this is circumstantial, and I think we're asking a lot of men when we ask them to be flexible, because essentially they've been used to making a lot of money, say, in a manufacturing job, whereas women can start at the bottom. They don't have a lot of breadwinner expectations. They can be more flexible because it's easier for them, you know? They don't have to live up to some idea of what a breadwinner is. So, yes, I think I have a lot of pathos for the men. I mean, I wish we could just get those manufacturing jobs back and make it easier, honestly.
You know, women are doing better. There's no question they've improved their position both socially and economically. On the other hand, there is still a wage gap, for example. I mean, you can quibble over the numbers, but I think most people agree that women earn less for the same job that men do. You don't see women in those high-profile executive positions at the same rate that you see men. How do you explain that if women are doing so well?
Well, one of my chapters in the book talks about the top and the barriers for women, basically, how we are still, as a society, uncomfortable with female power and a particular kind of aggressive dominant power. So in the book, I give pretty specific tips for women about how to get over this and move to the other side, basically, because we're close to a tipping point. There are, 51% of managers right now are women, managers and professionals, and so women are climbing up, but there are issues. There are issues having to do with the structure of the workplace, childcare, and our feelings about powerful women, basically.
There's a social aspect to this as well. I mean, women and how they relate to men, whether it's dating or marriage. I mean, you've probably seen this as well.
Sure, and I think that Hannah points out, one of the things she points out well in the book, which is troubling for me, is the way in which the sexual dynamics have really shifted, because I guess I shouldn't say that it's troubling, but women have taken a lot more control over their sexual lives, and I guess that you see this as a really unadulterated great thing.
Well, I mean, lots of people ask me dating advice, younger women, and say, I'm in this situation where, say, my boyfriend can't afford to go on this vacation, and I really want to go on this vacation with him. There's a lot of awkwardness around that now, because young women are doing especially well before they have children, and they're doing usually better than the men around them, and so it creates kind of awkward dating.
And I think it's hard. One thing I think is hard for men is that what our role is in these new dynamics is harder, because we're accustomed to a certain sense of what manhood is.
Well, we're out of time, but I know you've got a little boy who doesn't love the title of this book.
No, he doesn't. No, I dedicated the book to him because he's very offended by the title, but I hope when he's older I'll be able to explain to him that this is actually a better, easier world for him I'm describing.
Hannah, Rosa, and David Clutz, it's a good conversation started, that's for sure. The book is The End of Men and the Rise of Women. So what do you think? Do you think women are surpassing men? We asked you on today.com, and our poll results show that it's about evenly split. Our poll was 56 to 44 yes, and you can join the conversation on today.com. Coming up next, delicious uses for apples that are so prevalent this